Hey guys, this is episode number 25 of Daily Thoughts with David. I'm so sorry I haven't posted in a while. I had two videos that were moved back-to-back days, number 23 and number 24, for talking about some stuff that YouTube doesn't want to talk about very much right now, having to deal with the jab and some other things with the health side of that. So not going to even touch that. If YouTube censors are out there watching, just completely ignore this video. I'm not talking about the jab or anything like that. Today we're talking about the H5N1 virus, which is the avian flu. The New York Times recently came out with an article, I think it was yesterday, talking about the H5N1 avian flu and how it was starting to spread throughout the United States of America. There have been about 58 million cases of it, or 58 million birds have been infected with the avian flu in the United States of America, which sounds like a lot, but as we've talked about before on previous videos, there's about 9.2 billion birds in the United States of America, in between both poultry and like home flocks, farms. So it's not as much as what you think it would be. It's about 0.6%, which is not a lot. However, if it were to spread to other parts of our food supply, to other animals or something like that, that would be a serious problem. The H5N1 virus, when transmitted to human beings, is actually very, very dangerous. It's very deadly. The bird flu is actually very, very dangerous to human beings. I believe the mortality rate is about 60%. So far, I've done a little bit of research. There's been about 8,500 cases of human contact or human beings being tested for the H5N1 virus, and I believe one has tested positive. So that's one human being that's tested positive for H5N1. And 58 million birds or so. Now, there's a huge problem with avian flu over in Europe, specifically the United Kingdom. If you guys have watched Clarksons Farm, which is one of my favorite shows, they actually have a huge, they go through this in the show. They have a huge problem over there with the avian flu, where if they get the H5N1, they just cull all of the birds. And that seems to be kind of the strategy that we're doing here in the United States of America. If a bird gets the H5N1, they immediately cull the bird and the rest of the birds in the flock if they've been infected, which is probably smart. You don't want that human to animal to human transmission, because the H5N1 is some serious stuff, and it really could mess some people up. The New York Times came out with an article saying that they would be, in the future here, possibly looking into a campaign to vaccinate birds and against H5N1 and the spread of H5N1. Though some of the lessons that we've learned from other pandemics in the past, vaccinating for things during an epidemic or during a pandemic like this may not be the most wise thing. Although, you know, there's a possibility that it could get ahead of this H5N1 disease and maybe stop the spread of that. If it does get out to the point where it's starting to infect a lot of different birds, a lot of different flocks out there, especially our commercial food supply of eggs and meat, that's a serious, serious problem, because all the birds have to be culled. And as you guys know, if you go to the grocery store right now, the prices of eggs and of meat, and chicken specifically, has gone up exponentially, like quite a bit. So this could seriously, seriously impact some of the food supply that we are, engaging with right now. Thankfully, I am a hobbyist chicken farmer, thank God, and have all the free eggs and all the free chicken that I need. But if you guys do not have that, I would seriously suggest getting some chickens if you have the property, if you are allowed to in your city, state, whatever. State, obviously you can, but certain cities do not allow certain farm animals within city limits, blah, 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 blah. If you guys can set up a small shed, get 10 birds, you'll have eggs for days. You'll never have to worry about it. If you get some meat birds, you'll never have to worry about having chicken ever again. That's one important thing. My big question now for these coming times with the H5N1 virus and what's going to be happening with that, my question is, are they going to be mandating hobbyist farmers like me to get my birds vaccinated if this breaks out? My chickens have no contact with any other birds whatsoever. I did buy my birds at Rural King. We've gone through this conversation before. When I purchased my birds at Rural King, which is a farm store here in the Midwest, I had to give my ID, and they put me on a list, I'm sure somewhere, of birds that or bird owners, and they may be contacting me at some point in order to check up on my birds and make sure that they're not infected or anything like that. However, I don't think that that's even a chance with my birds. Most of my birds are locked up almost all the time, especially this winter. They've been locked up the entire time, have not been able to go outside because it's been so cold. Now, there's obviously the avian flu is not just limited to birds that are chickens or turkeys or commercial birds that we would use for our food supply. That could also translate to pigeons and crows and hawks and all different kinds of things that are not chickens that we don't eat. Or most of us don't eat. But that would become a serious problem if my birds were to get out, were to come in contact with a bird, like a wild bird that came down and you know, attacked my birds or had some kind of contact with my birds and spread that kind of avian flu. So it could be very dangerous. But H5N1 is very serious, is extremely serious when it comes to animal to human transmission. That's not good whatsoever because, like I said, the mortality rate is very, very high. I want to know your guys' thoughts on the H5N1 pandemic that's happening not only in our country. Europe is experiencing a lot of avian flu outbreaks right now, which is very, very serious for the farmers over there, especially if you are dedicated and that's your whole livelihood is chicken farming. It's a serious problem, obviously, because that's your livelihood. So you may see egg prices jump up even more. You may see chicken prices jump up even more with these upcoming avian flu outbreaks. So I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this. What do you think is the possibility of this getting out? Do you think they will vaccinate or try to preemptively vaccinate birds of all different types in the commercial industry? Do you think they'll try to, do you think they'll go to farms like mine? Do you think they'll go to maybe even larger farms that have 100, 150 birds and try to get them vaccinated as well? I don't know the answer to this, but it is kind of scary for me because I bought chickens so that I could have eggs and chicken. And I wasn't expecting to have to go through an avian influenza outbreak like this. So it's kind of interesting. I want to know your guys' thoughts. If you guys have not yet, please follow my Rumble channel, which is David Coleman 27. The Instagram is David Coleman YT, and the Twitter is Colma63ETH. So let me know your thoughts. I'm going to get back on my train of posting every single day now that my community guideline strikes are gone. Hopefully YouTube will revise their stuff here soon so we can get the truth out about all different kinds of medical problems out there. But besides that, I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.